The mid-1950s were a time of exuberant design and ambitious engineering in the American automotive industry. However, not every vehicle produced during this era achieved the level of success or popularity its makers hoped for. From questionable aesthetics to baffling engineering choices, the following cars stand out as some of the worst and stupidest American cars of the 1950s.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 13. The 1958 Edsel Pacer was part of Ford's ambitious but ultimately disastrous Edsel brand, designed to bridge the gap between the Ford and Mercury divisions. The Pacer was marketed as a mid-range model, but ended up being plagued by the same issues that affected the entire Edsel lineup, including poor design choices, mechanical problems, and a complete failure to resonate with consumers. The Pacer, like other Edsel models, was criticized for its unusual and unattractive design, most notably its distinctive horse collar grille, which quickly became a point of ridicule. The car's front end, with its vertical grille, looked strange and awkward compared to the horizontal grilles that were popular at the time. This design misstep contributed to a negative first impression for many buyers. The overall body design of the Pacer was clunky and lacked the sleek, streamlined look that other automakers were embracing in the late 1950s. The Pacer was known for frequent mechanical failures, particularly in its electrical systems and transmission. One of the most innovative yet problematic features was the teletouch push-button transmission, where the buttons were located in the center of the steering wheel. While futuristic in concept, this system was prone to malfunction, causing confusion and frustration for drivers. The build quality of the Pacer was subpar, with many models suffering from misaligned body panels, leaking seals, and unreliable engines. The Edsel Pacer introduced several unconventional control systems that confused buyers and made the car difficult to operate. Aside from the transmission issues, the placement of the drive controls on the steering wheel caused ergonomic problems, making it difficult to shift gears without taking your hands off the wheel. An inconvenient and counterintuitive design. The dashboard was overloaded with buttons and dials, making it hard for drivers to quickly and intuitively operate the vehicle's basic functions. Ford's marketing for the Edsel lineup, including the Pacer, was extremely ambitious, with promises of a revolutionary car. When the car debuted and failed to live up to these expectations, it disappointed consumers and dealers alike. While the Pacer was supposed to be a mid-range offering, it was priced too high for the limited features and poor performance it provided. Buyers quickly realized they could get better, more reliable cars for the same price or less. The Edsel Pacer, like the rest of the Edsel lineup, was a sales disaster. The car's poor reliability, awkward design, and confusing controls turned buyers away almost immediately. Buyers who did purchase the car often found themselves stuck with a vehicle that depreciated rapidly due to its poor reputation and mechanical problems. The 1958 Edsel Pacer has become a symbol of one of the most famous failures in automotive history. It exemplifies poor market research, misguided design choices, and an overhyped product that didn't deliver. The Pacer was discontinued after the 1958 model year, as Ford scrambled to distance itself from the Edsel brand and minimize the financial damage caused by its failure. In conclusion, the 1958 Edsel Pacer is remembered as a car that failed on nearly every level. From its awkward styling and confusing control layout to its poor reliability and disappointing performance, the Pacer is one of the standout models in the Edsel lineup that contributed to the brand's rapid demise. The 1955 Chevrolet 210, or 210, was Chevrolet's mid-range model, sandwiched between the more affordable 150 and the upscale Bel Air. While the 1955 model year was an important one for Chevrolet, with the introduction of its iconic new V8 engine and the popular Bel Air, the 210 struggled to stand out. It was intended to appeal to buyers who wanted something more than the bare-bones 150, but weren't willing to spend extra for the flashier Bel Air. In the end, this positioning left the 210 feeling like a forgettable compromise. The 210 was positioned between the budget 150 and the more luxurious Bel Air, but it didn't have a strong identity of its own. While it shared much of the body and design elements of the Bel Air, it lacked the chrome trim, upscale features, and prestige that made the Bel Air stand out. The exterior styling of the 210 was functional but unremarkable, with less chrome and fewer design flourishes than the Bel Air. It had a plain look that didn't excite buyers, especially during an era when style and flair were becoming increasingly important in automotive design. While the 1950s were known for bold, extravagant designs, the 210 was somewhat restrained and lacked the flash that drew attention in showrooms. Although the 210 offered the new 265 cubic inch V8 engine option, which was revolutionary for Chevrolet, it was still underpowered compared to higher-end models or rival brands that provided more performance-oriented options. Buyers looking for speed and performance typically went for the Bel Air or sportier models. The 210's handling and suspension were adequate but didn't stand out. It felt like a utilitarian car rather than one meant for spirited driving, and its suspension was tuned more for comfort than performance, making it sluggish compared to some of its sportier competitors. The 210's biggest flaw was that it didn't excel in any particular area. It wasn't as cheap as the 150, making it less appealing to budget-conscious buyers, and it didn't have the premium look or features of the Bel Air. In essence, it was stuck in a middle ground that didn't make a strong case for itself. The 1955 Bel Air became one of the most iconic American cars of the 1950s, leaving the 210 largely forgotten by comparison. The Bel Air's success made the 210 seem like an afterthought, as most buyers who wanted a bit more flair simply upgraded to the Bel Air, while those on a strict budget opted for the cheaper 150. The interior of the 210 was relatively basic, lacking the amenities or premium touches that the Bel Air offered. The upholstery was plain, and while the car was functional, it didn't exude the comfort or style that buyers were increasingly looking for in the mid-1950s. While the Bel Air offered additional chrome accents, flashy details, and a more luxurious experience, the 210 remained fairly utilitarian. It had few distinguishing features, making it a hard sell for buyers looking for a car that reflected their personal style. In 1955, automakers were competing fiercely to capture the attention of buyers with new styling, features, and performance. The 210's modest design and average performance made it less appealing compared to rivals like Ford's Fairlane or Dodge's Coronet, which were offering more daring designs and improved features. By 1955, consumers were increasingly interested in cars that were either very affordable or highly stylish and luxurious. The 210's middle-of-the-road approach didn't align with the more polarized preferences of the car-buying public. Unlike the Bel Air, which went on to become a classic, or the 150, which found a niche with buyers who wanted affordable transportation, the 210 faded into obscurity. It lacked the distinctive qualities that made other 1955 Chevrolet models memorable, and as a result, it doesn't have the same historical significance or collector appeal. With the passage of time, the 210 became one of the lesser-remembered models from Chevrolet's lineup, overshadowed by its more successful or more polarizing siblings. The 1955 Chevrolet 210 wasn't a terrible car by any means, but it also wasn't a great one. It was functional and reliable, but it failed to make a lasting impression due to its lack of style, performance, and innovation. Stuck between the bargain-priced 150 and the more upscale Bel Air, the 210 was simply overshadowed and left in the middle, making it one of the more forgettable cars of its era. Number 11. The 1958 Plymouth Fury is often remembered for its prominent role in pop culture, particularly as the star of Stephen King's Christine. But the reality of the base model wasn't as thrilling. While the Fury nameplate was associated with performance and style, the base model offered little of either. It was intended to be a high-end version of Plymouth's lineup, yet it failed to deliver enough substance to justify its premium price. The Fury's design was built upon Plymouth's forward-look styling, which was meant to be sleek and futuristic, featuring the now iconic tail fins. However, the base model lacked the extra visual flair that made higher-trim Furies stand out. Without the additional chrome and flashy details found in more expensive versions, the base model felt plain. Visually, the 1958 base model Fury didn't distinguish itself much from the more affordable Savoy or Belvedere models. Buyers might have been enticed by the Fury name, but were left with a car that didn't visually set itself apart as much as expected for the price. While performance was a selling point of some Fury models, the base version came with uninspired engine options. The entry-level 318 cubic inch V8 provided adequate power, but lacked the punch that customers expected from a performance-oriented name like Fury. Those looking for real excitement had to pay extra for the Golden Commando 350 or larger V8 engines, which weren't available in the base model. In an era when automakers were pushing for bigger, faster engines, the base Fury's performance was disappointing. Its acceleration was nothing special, and it didn't offer the same kind of high-speed thrills that made performance cars of the 1950s so exciting. Like many large cars of its era, the base model Fury suffered from poor handling. Its suspension was soft, and while that made for a smooth ride on the highway, it also meant the car felt wallowy and unstable when cornering. The heavy body, combined with lackluster steering response, made the Fury base model less enjoyable to drive compared to more agile competitors. The braking system wasn't particularly advanced, making the Fury's stopping power less reliable than other cars in its class. Given its size and weight, this was a significant issue for safety and driving confidence. For a car positioned as a premium offering, the base model Fury's interior was disappointingly plain. The upholstery was simple, lacking the upscale materials or design flourishes expected from a car at this price point. The base Fury didn't come with many modern amenities, even by 1958 standards. While some options could be added for additional cost, the base model left much to be desired in terms of convenience and comfort, with only the bare necessities included. The dashboard design was minimal and lacked the stylish, futuristic flair that other premium models in the late 1950s were offering. This made the base Fury feel utilitarian, which clashed with its premium pricing. One of the biggest issues with the 1958 Plymouth Fury base model was its price. It was more expensive than Plymouth's other full-size models like the Belvedere or the Savoy, but it didn't offer enough in terms of performance, styling, or features to justify the higher cost. Buyers often felt that they weren't getting much more than they would have with a cheaper model. The base Fury was competing with similarly priced cars from Ford, Chevrolet, and even Chrysler's own brands that offered more advanced technology, better performance, and more luxurious features. Many consumers saw the base Fury as an overpriced, underwhelming option. In 1958, the American automotive market was fiercely competitive, with many automakers pushing the boundaries of design and performance. The base model Fury couldn't keep up with rivals like the Chevrolet Impala, Ford Fairlane, or Dodge Coronet, which offered better styling, features, and engines for the same price or less. Even within the Plymouth lineup, the Fury base model had to contend with the cheaper Belvedere and Savoy, which offered similar performance and features at a more attractive price. This made the Fury feel like a poor value for money in comparison. The 1958 Plymouth Fury base model was a car that fell short of expectations. It lacked the style, power, and features that buyers associated with the Fury nameplate, making it feel overpriced and underwhelming. While other versions of the Fury found success, the base model struggled to justify its premium price tag in a market filled with better performing and more exciting alternatives. Today it remains a lesser known and less celebrated part of Plymouth's legacy. Number 10. The 1956 Lincoln Premier was introduced as part of Lincoln's luxury lineup, aiming to compete with the likes of Cadillac and Chrysler in the high-end market. While the car boasted a few innovative features and the upscale styling of the mid-1950s, it ultimately fell short of the luxury promise it made. Its bulk, mechanical issues, and underwhelming performance led it to be overshadowed by its competitors. The 1956 Lincoln Premier was part of the forward-look trend that defined mid-1950s American car design. It featured long lines, tail fins, and plenty of chrome. However, while the styling was bold, it came off as overdone to many. The car's sheer size, combined with an excessive use of chrome, made it look overly flashy rather than refined. The Premier was notably heavy, and its size, rather than exuding luxury, gave it a bloated appearance. Compared to the sleeker designs of the Cadillac Series 62 or Chrysler's Imperial, the Lincoln Premier appeared clumsy and overly large, which hurt its perception as a top-tier luxury vehicle. Under the hood, the 1956 Premier came with a 368 cubic inch V8 engine, producing 285 horsepower. While this sounds impressive, the car's weight and size significantly hindered its performance. Despite the large V8, the Premier's acceleration was sluggish, and it didn't deliver the kind of power and smoothness one would expect from a luxury car. The car struggled with slow acceleration, which was disappointing for drivers who expected a smooth, responsive ride in a luxury vehicle. Competing cars like the Cadillac Eldorado were more nimble and performed better in this department. Luxury cars of the 1950s were generally not known for their fuel efficiency, but the Lincoln Premier was particularly bad in this regard. Its heavy frame and underperforming engine meant that it guzzled fuel at a higher rate than many competitors. Due to its massive size and weight, the 1956 Lincoln Premier had poor handling characteristics. The car felt unwieldy on the road, with a soft suspension that resulted in excessive body roll when cornering. This made the driving experience less refined, especially compared to more balanced competitors. The steering was another weak point, often feeling disconnected and lacking precision. For a car marketed as a luxury vehicle, this lack of driving finesse was a major disappointment. The drum brakes were not sufficient for a car of this size and weight, leading to longer stopping distances. Combined with the poor handling, this made the car feel unsafe, especially in emergency situations. The Lincoln Premier suffered from mechanical reliability issues, which was particularly damaging for a luxury car brand trying to compete with Cadillac and Chrysler. Problems with the automatic transmission, engine reliability, and electrical systems were commonly reported. The car was equipped with Lincoln's turbo-drive automatic transmission, which often experienced shifting issues and failures. This detracted from the luxury feel of the car, as it didn't provide the seamless driving experience expected at this price point. The mechanical issues were compounded by high maintenance costs, which frustrated owners who expected a luxury car to provide a trouble-free experience. Cadillac and Chrysler offered more reliable options that didn't suffer from the same level of mechanical failures. The Lincoln Premier did offer a fairly luxurious interior, with leather seating and advanced, for the time, features like power windows, power seats, and a padded dashboard. However, the build quality of the interior was inconsistent, and many owners complained about poor fit and finish. While the interior was spacious and filled with gadgets, it lacked the refinement found in competitors like Cadillac. The materials used in the car were often criticized for feeling cheap or less polished than what buyers expected from a premium brand. Some of the luxury features, such as the power accessories, were prone to malfunction, leading to further frustration. For instance, the power windows were known to fail, which was a particular issue for a car that boasted technological advancements. The 1956 Lincoln Premier was priced at the higher end of the luxury market, but it didn't offer enough to justify its cost. Buyers could get a Cadillac or Chrysler for a similar price, but with more reliability, better performance, and superior build quality. Cadillac dominated the American luxury market in the 1950s, and Lincoln's attempts to compete with models like the Series 62 fell flat. The Premier, while luxurious in appearance, couldn't match Cadillac's reputation for quality or the superior engineering that came with Chrysler's Imperial. By the mid-1950s, Lincoln was struggling to keep up with Cadillac's dominance in the luxury segment. Number 9. The 1959 Rambler American, produced by the American Motors Corporation, AMC, was introduced during a time when compact cars were becoming more popular in the U.S. market. However, the Rambler American was plagued by design and engineering flaws that made it a poor competitor in its segment. While it was intended to be an affordable and practical compact option, the car's boxy design, underpowered engine, and overall lack of refinement left much to be desired for potential buyers. The design of the 1959 Rambler American was considered uninspired and out of step with the sleeker, more modern lines that competitors were starting to introduce. It retained a lot of the design language from earlier models, making it feel more like a car from the early 1950s than one built at the end of the decade. The car's styling was very basic, aimed at buyers looking for function over form. The compact size and upright, boxy body lacked the curves and flair seen in competitors like the Chevrolet Corvair or the Volkswagen Beetle, which offered more attractive, modern designs in the compact car segment. One of the Rambler American's biggest weaknesses was its engine. It was equipped with a 90 horsepower, 195.6 cubic inch inline six-cylinder engine. While this was a modest improvement over some older engines, it still wasn't nearly enough to give the car adequate power, especially on highways. The engine's 90 horsepower was underwhelming, even by compact car standards of the time. Acceleration was poor, and the car struggled with highway speeds, making it less practical for modern driving conditions. In addition, the engine was known for being noisy, which contributed to the perception of the car feeling cheap and unrefined. Unlike some competitors, the 1959 Rambler American didn't offer much in terms of performance upgrades. Buyers looking for more power or better driving dynamics were forced to look elsewhere. The car's suspension system was basic, offering a rough ride that felt harsh, especially over uneven roads. The solid rear axle and rudimentary suspension setup contributed to the poor ride quality, and the car lacked the smoothness found in other compact or mid-size competitors. Despite being a compact car, the interior of the Rambler American felt cramped. The boxy shape of the vehicle didn't translate into efficient use of space, and passengers in both the front and rear seats often found the ride uncomfortable. The car suffered from poor noise insulation, which made the interior feel noisy, especially at higher speeds. The combination of engine noise, road noise, and wind noise gave the car an uncomfortable, rattling feel. While AMC prided itself on building simple, affordable cars, the 1959 Rambler American suffered from a lack of innovation and refinement. The simplicity of the car meant that there were fewer parts to break, but it also lacked the mechanical sophistication of other vehicles on the market. This made it feel outdated and under-engineered. The car offered both a manual and an automatic transmission, but the latter in particular was prone to issues. The automatic transmission was clunky and unreliable, contributing to a poor overall driving experience. The 1959 Rambler American was designed to be affordable, and that frugality was very apparent in the interior. The cabin was stripped down, with few luxury features. The seats were uncomfortable, with minimal padding, and the materials used throughout the cabin were cheap and basic. While competitors began offering more features such as radios, heaters, and power windows, the Rambler American was sparsely equipped. Buyers looking for a more comfortable, well-equipped interior found the American lacking compared to cars like the Chevrolet Corvair or Ford Falcon, both of which offered more modern interiors with a better range of options. The interior space was cramped, particularly in the rear seats. Despite being a compact car, other models in the class managed to use their space more efficiently. Passengers often found the back seat to be tight, with limited legroom and uncomfortable seating positions. The 1959 Rambler American was a budget compact car that fell short in almost every aspect. Its boxy design, underpowered engine, and poor refinement made it feel cheap and uncomfortable compared to its rivals. Although it was affordable, it didn't offer the value or appeal that buyers were seeking in the growing compact car market. With its bland styling and unremarkable performance, the 1959 Rambler American is remembered as a mediocre entry in the compact car segment, overshadowed by more innovative and successful models from both domestic and foreign automakers. Number 8, the 1958 Buick Limited was the pinnacle of Buick's lineup in the late 1950s, designed to be an ultra-luxurious, top-of-the-line model that showcased American automotive extravagance. Unfortunately, it became a symbol of excess, characterized by its overstyled design, excessive chrome, and sheer bulk. The Limited was emblematic of a bygone era of flashy cars, and by the time it hit the market, consumer tastes were shifting toward more streamlined, modest designs. Its timing couldn't have been worse, as its flashy appearance and overwhelming size clashed with emerging trends for more restrained and modern vehicles. The 1958 Buick Limited is often remembered for its extreme styling, which was a hallmark of many American luxury cars of the era. However, by 1958, this overdone design language was starting to fall out of favor. The Limited was loaded with chrome trim to the point of being garish, with decorative accents covering nearly every inch of the car's body. The car's defining feature was its excessive chrome detailing. From its wide front grille to its long, chrome-lined tail fins, the Limited represented an aesthetic that many viewed as overly gaudy. By 1958, the use of chrome was beginning to wane as car buyers leaned toward cleaner, more refined designs. With a length of over 227 inches, the Buick Limited was a massive car. Its dimensions made it difficult to maneuver, especially in urban settings. Its imposing size and weight only added to the sense of overindulgence, and many considered the design bloated and impractical for everyday driving. While the Limited was meant to look luxurious, it was quickly seen as old-fashioned by 1958. Car designs were evolving towards sleeker, simpler lines, and the Limited's excessive ornamentation made it look out of place in an era where modern, understated styling was becoming the norm. The Buick Limited's substantial weight negatively impacted its performance. At nearly 4,800 pounds, the car was too heavy to deliver the kind of performance that buyers expected from a top-tier luxury car. Its size and weight meant that it had sluggish acceleration, especially when compared to lighter, more nimble competitors. The Limited came equipped with a 6.0-liter nailhead V8 engine, producing 300 horsepower, which was a respectable figure on paper. However, the car's weight and lack of aerodynamic efficiency negated any power advantages. As a result, the engine struggled to move the massive vehicle with any real urgency, leaving drivers with a less-than-ideal driving experience. As one might expect, the car's fuel consumption was dismal. The Limited's massive size and inefficient design made it one of the least fuel-efficient cars of its time. At a time when consumers were starting to become more conscious of fuel costs, the Limited's poor gas mileage was yet another reason it failed to resonate with buyers. The 1958 Buick Limited was priced at the top of Buick's range, making it a high-end vehicle that competed with cars from luxury brands like Cadillac and Lincoln. However, the car's performance and styling didn't justify its high price tag, making it a tough sell in a market that was starting to value substance over style. The Limited also suffered from poor resale value. Its excessive styling and mechanical complexity meant that it depreciated quickly, and many buyers found that the car didn't hold its value well compared to its competitors. The 1958 Buick Limited represented the end of an era for Buick. It was the last year Buick offered the Limited as a separate model, as the company moved away from the over-the-top designs that had defined its cars in the early 1950s. Buick shifted its focus toward more modern, restrained designs in the 1960s, leaving the Limited as a relic of a different automotive philosophy. Today, the 1958 Buick Limited is considered a collector's item, primarily because it represents the height of late 1950s automotive excess. Some enthusiasts appreciate its sheer extravagance in over-the-top styling, while others view it as a cautionary tale of how far excess can go in automotive design. The 1958 Buick Limited was a product of its time, designed during an era when chrome and size were seen as symbols of luxury and status. Unfortunately, by 1958, the market had begun shifting toward more streamlined and practical designs, leaving the Limited feeling outdated and out of touch. Its excessive styling, poor handling, and heavy weight made it a difficult car to justify, especially at its high price point. While it may have been a showcase of Buick's ambition, it ultimately became a symbol of overindulgence in a time when buyers were looking for more modern and practical alternatives. Number 7. The 1956 Willie station wagon, produced by Willie's Overland Motors, was a rugged, utilitarian vehicle designed primarily for off-road and practical use. While the Willie's wagon had a reputation for durability and off-road capability, it struggled to attract mainstream family buyers due to its Spartan design, lack of comfort, and dated appearance. In a decade when automotive styling and comfort were becoming increasingly important to American consumers, the Willie station wagon felt like a relic of a bygone era. The 1956 Willie station wagon was more boxy and rudimentary compared to the curvaceous, chrome-laden designs that were popular at the time. Its design was purely functional, which made it suitable for rural or rugged use, but unappealing to the growing market of suburban families looking for stylish, comfortable family cars. Originally introduced in 1946, the Willie station wagon design had changed little over the years. By 1956, its looks were considered outdated and old-fashioned, especially when compared to more modern competitors like the Chevrolet Nomad or the Ford Country Squire, both of which offered sleek styling and creature comforts. While other wagons of the era featured elaborate chrome accents, two-tone paint jobs, and futuristic lines, the Willie station wagon retained a plain, utilitarian exterior with minimal ornamentation. Its slab-sided body and flat grille made it look more like a military vehicle than a family-friendly station wagon. The Willie station wagon's biggest strength was its ruggedness, particularly in off-road environments. However, this came at the cost of on-road performance. The wagon was slow, noisy, and lacked the smooth ride that families expected from station wagons in the 1950s. The 1956 Willie's wagon came with a choice of engines, including a 2.2-liter Hurricane 4-cylinder engine producing 70 horsepower and a Super Hurricane 6-cylinder engine producing 115 horsepower. These engines were reliable but underpowered for a vehicle of its size, especially when fully loaded with passengers or cargo. Acceleration was sluggish, and the vehicle struggled on highways, where faster speeds were becoming the norm. While it was capable off-road, the Willie station wagon was not well suited for the growing network of interstate highways. Its slow top speed, noisy cabin, and lack of power made it a poor choice for long-distance travel. This was a major drawback at a time when road trips were becoming a popular family pastime. The Willie station wagon shared much of its underpinnings with Willie's light trucks, which meant that its ride quality was stiff and unrefined. The solid axles and leaf spring suspension were designed for rugged terrain, but they made for a bumpy and uncomfortable ride on paved roads. The wagon's truck-like construction also resulted in poor handling. It had a high center of gravity, which led to body-rolling corners, and its steering was heavy and unresponsive. Driving the Willie's wagon felt more like piloting a small truck than a family car, making it unappealing for daily driving. The drum brakes on the Willie's wagon were adequate for slow-speed off-road use, but they were underpowered for highway speeds. Stopping distances were long, and brake fade was common after repeated use, especially when the vehicle was fully loaded. The interior of the 1956 Willie station wagon was minimalistic and designed for utility rather than comfort. The materials used were durable, but lacked the luxury or refinement that families were starting to expect in their vehicles. The seats were covered in vinyl, which was easy to clean but uncomfortable for long drives. Unlike more upscale wagons, the Willies offered little in terms of padding or support, and there were few adjustments available to tailor the seating for comfort. The Willie station wagon was devoid of many of the amenities that were becoming standard in family cars by the mid-1950s. There were no power windows, no air conditioning, and no radio in the base models, making it feel bare bones compared to the more feature-rich wagons from Ford, Chevrolet, or Chrysler. While the Willie's wagon could carry passengers, its interior was relatively cramped compared to other station wagons of the time. The boxy design maximized cargo space, but the rear passenger seating area was uncomfortable and lacked legroom, making it less suitable for families with multiple children. By 1956, American families were gravitating toward cars that offered a balance of style, comfort, and performance. The Willie station wagon, with its rugged utilitarian design, was more suited to rural buyers or those with specific needs for off-road capability. It was outclassed by more modern wagons that combined stylish design with the latest in comfort and convenience features. Number 6. The 1954 Kaiser Darren was an ambitious attempt by Kaiser Motors to break into the sports car market, which was still in its infancy in the United States. With its fiberglass body, distinctive styling, and innovative sliding doors, the Darren certainly stood out. However, while it was unique, it was also deeply flawed, both in terms of design and performance. Ultimately, the Darren was more memorable for its quirks than its success, and it struggled to compete with other American sports cars like the Chevrolet Corvette. Designed by Howard Dutch Darren, the Kaiser, Darren was certainly an eye-catcher. Its curvaceous, swooping body lines and puckered front grille, which resembled a pair of puckered lips, were unlike anything else on the road. While some praised the Darren's styling for being adventurous and different, many others found it to be polarizing and even awkward. The Darren featured a fiberglass body, similar to the Chevrolet Corvette, which allowed for the unusual shapes and curves of the design. However, the early production techniques for fiberglass bodies were still being refined, leading to issues with build quality and durability. One of the most innovative and talked about features of the Kaiser Darren was its sliding doors, which slid into the front fenders rather than opening outward. While this was a unique and space-saving idea, it had significant flaws. The sliding mechanism was prone to jamming, and the doors leaked water, especially in the rain, making the car impractical in many climates. The Darren was powered by a 90 horsepower, 161 cubic inch Willys F-head inline-six engine, which was underpowered for a car marketed as a sports car. Its 0 to 60 miles per hour time was unimpressive, taking over 15 seconds, which was far slower than many of its competitors. The engine simply didn't provide the kind of acceleration or speed that sports car buyers expected. In comparison, the Chevrolet Corvette and European imports like the Jaguar XK120 offered much more power and excitement behind the wheel. The Darren was fitted with a 3-speed manual transmission with an optional overdrive, but it didn't do much to enhance the driving experience. The transmission was described as clunky, and shifting gears was not as smooth as it should have been for a sports car. This added to the sense that the Darren was more of a novelty car than a serious performer. The Darren's handling was another area where it fell short. While it had a lightweight fiberglass body, the chassis and suspension were not up to par for a sports car. The solid rear axle and leaf springs made for a stiff, uncomfortable ride, and the car lacked the agility and cornering ability that buyers expected from a sports car. The car's design and mechanical layout resulted in poor weight distribution, which led to unsteady handling, particularly at higher speeds. It also felt unstable when cornering, which made it less fun to drive on winding roads, the type of driving sports car enthusiasts crave. The use of fiberglass was innovative, but the build quality was inconsistent. Many of the early production models suffered from warped panels, cracks, and fitment issues that degraded the car's appearance and longevity. Owners often had to deal with panels that didn't align properly, and the doors in particular were known for malfunctioning. The Darren's signature sliding doors were prone to leaking in rainy weather, allowing water to seep into the interior. This not only made the car impractical for daily use, but also damaged the interior over time, leading to issues with mildew and rust. The interior materials were not as luxurious as they should have been for a premium-priced sports car. The upholstery and trim felt cheap, and the cabin was cramped and uncomfortable for taller drivers and passengers. Additionally, the lack of modern amenities, such as air conditioning or a quality sound system, made the Darren feel bare bones compared to other premium cars of the era. The Kaiser Darren was priced at around $3,668 in 1954, which was expensive for the time and positioned it above the Chevrolet Corvette and many European sports cars. However, it didn't offer the performance, reliability, or prestige to justify that price tag. Many potential buyers were turned off by the car's quirks and flaws, especially given the steep price. The 1954 Kaiser Darren is a car that was filled with ambition but plagued by flaws. Its innovative design, particularly the sliding doors, set it apart from other cars, but these innovations were undermined by poor execution and lackluster performance. The underpowered engine, stiff handling, and build quality issues made it less enjoyable to drive than its competitors, and the high price tag didn't help its chances in the marketplace. Ultimately, the Kaiser Darren is remembered more for its quirks and novelty than for its success as a sports car. Number 5. The 1959 Studebaker Silver Hawk was part of the Hawk series and aimed to capture the sporty segment of the market with its sleek design and appealing aesthetics. However, despite its eye-catching exterior, the Silver Hawk fell short in several critical areas, leading to its poor reputation. The model suffered from underwhelming performance, quality issues, and the overall decline of the Studebaker brand, making it less desirable compared to its competitors. The Silver Hawk featured a stylish body that combined elements of both classic and modern design. Its long hood, short rear deck, and distinctive grille contributed to a sporty appearance that was appealing at first glance. The use of chrome accents and unique detailing aimed to capture the attention of potential buyers looking for a fashionable vehicle. While the exterior was certainly flashy and sporty, the styling often felt like a mask for the underlying issues with the vehicle. Many critics noted that the design was more about aesthetics than engineering, leading to a disconnect between looks and performance. The Silverhawk was equipped with a range of engine options, including a 185 horsepower V8 and a more basic 170 horsepower inline-six. Unfortunately, these engines were not enough to give the car the sporty feel that its styling promised. Many drivers found the car to be sluggish and lacking the performance that was expected from a vehicle marketed as a sports coupe. The combination of a heavy body and underpowered engines resulted in lackluster acceleration and handling. Drivers reported that the Silverhawk struggled to keep up with competitors, especially on highways and during merging situations. The car's performance didn't inspire confidence, undermining the very image it sought to project. By the late 1950s, Studebaker was experiencing significant financial difficulties, which directly impacted the quality of its vehicles. The Silverhawk was no exception, with many owners reporting issues related to fit and finish, as well as mechanical problems that arose soon after purchase. Many Silverhawks suffered from poor build quality, including misaligned panels, paint imperfections, and interior components that didn't fit properly. This lack of attention to detail further contributed to the negative perception of the vehicle and reduced buyer confidence in the brand. The Silverhawk faced stiff competition from other American manufacturers, including Ford, Chevrolet, and Pontiac, which offered cars with more powerful engines, better handling, and greater reliability. The market for sporty cars was becoming increasingly competitive, and the Silverhawk's underperformance and quality issues left it struggling to find its place. As Studebaker continued to decline, the appeal of the Silverhawk waned. The brand's struggle to stay relevant in a changing automotive landscape meant that potential buyers were often reluctant to invest in a car that was associated with an uncertain future. The perception of Studebaker as a company in decline ultimately hurt the sales of the Silverhawk. The 1959 Studebaker Silverhawk is often viewed as a car with unfulfilled potential. While it boasted a sporty design and the promise of performance, it ultimately fell short in critical areas. Its underpowered engine, poor build quality, and the general decline of the Studebaker brand made it a less desirable option in a crowded market. Today, the Silverhawk is often remembered more for its unique design than its performance. Some collectors appreciate the car for its distinctive style and its place in automotive history, but it remains a reminder of Studebaker's challenges during a tumultuous period in the industry. The Silverhawk stands as a testament to how a beautiful design can be undermined by performance and reliability issues, making it one of the more forgettable models of its era. Number 4. The 1956 Chrysler Windsor aimed to be a mid-range luxury sedan that offered buyers a balance of comfort and affordability. However, it failed to deliver on both fronts, resulting in a model that was forgettable in a competitive automotive market. With lackluster styling, underwhelming performance, and an inability to truly capture the essence of Chrysler's reputation for quality, the Windsor quickly became an overlooked option for consumers. The Windsor's design was often criticized for its lack of flair. Unlike its more glamorous siblings in the Chrysler lineup, the Windsor presented a conservative and uninspired appearance. While it was built with the intention of appealing to a broader audience, its bland styling failed to excite potential buyers. The car's design did not reflect the era's trends, which leaned toward more dramatic lines and stylish features. This left the Windsor feeling outdated and unremarkable compared to its contemporaries, which boasted more vibrant designs and innovative styling cues. The Windsor was equipped with a 354 cubic inch Hemi V8 engine that produced a mere 240 horsepower, which was less than what many competitors offered. This underwhelming performance left drivers wanting more, particularly when the Chrysler name was synonymous with powerful and innovative engines. The combination of a heavy body and an uninspired engine resulted in mediocre acceleration and a driving experience that lacked excitement. Many drivers found the Windsor to be sluggish, especially when merging onto highways or navigating hilly terrain, further diminishing its appeal as a luxury vehicle. While the Windsor attempted to position itself as a luxurious option, its interior quality often fell short. The materials used in the cabin felt cheap, and the overall fit and finish didn't meet the standards set by higher-end models in the Chrysler lineup. The Windsor lacked many of the luxury features that consumers had come to expect from mid-range vehicles. While it included basic amenities, it didn't offer the level of comfort or technology found in competing models from Ford, Chevrolet, and Pontiac, making it feel less appealing to buyers seeking a premium experience. The Windsor struggled to carve out a niche in the crowded mid-range sedan market. With competitors offering more attractive designs and better performance, the Windsor was often overshadowed by both entry-level models and more luxurious options. As consumers began to shift towards sportier and more stylish vehicles, the Windsor's conservative approach didn't resonate. Its inability to differentiate itself in a rapidly changing market led to disappointing sales figures, further solidifying its position as a forgotten model of the era. The 1956 Chrysler Windsor stands as a testament to how attempting to balance luxury and affordability can sometimes result in a vehicle that offers neither. With its dull styling, underpowered engine, and lackluster features, the Windsor failed to meet the expectations of consumers in a competitive automotive landscape. Today, the Windsor is often overshadowed by other models from Chrysler's lineup and is remembered more for its shortcomings than any standout features. While it may still hold a place in automotive history, it serves as a reminder of the challenges manufacturers face during a time of significant change and competition in the automotive industry. The Windsor's legacy is that of a car that struggled to find its identity, leaving little impression on the market and even less on the memories of car enthusiasts. The 1954 Ford Crest line was part of Ford's full-size car lineup and was positioned as a family-friendly vehicle. However, by the mid-1950s, the Crest line was rapidly falling out of favor. With its outdated design, lackluster performance, and stiff competition from more innovative models, the Crest line struggled to attract buyers looking for excitement and modernity in their vehicles. The Crest line's design was already feeling stale by the time it hit the market. While it featured the traditional Ford styling cues of the early 1950s, its boxy silhouette and bland details made it less appealing compared to the more dynamic and streamlined designs emerging from 1958 competitors. The overall look was rather conservative and unremarkable, failing to catch the eye of consumers who were increasingly drawn to the more flamboyant and stylish offerings from brands like Chevrolet and Pontiac. This lack of visual excitement contributed significantly to its poor reception in the marketplace. The Crest line was offered with a range of engines, but none were particularly noteworthy. The base engine, a 223 cubic inch inline-six, produced only 115 horsepower, while the optional 239 cubic inch V8 offered only 130 horsepower. These power levels were insufficient to provide a spirited driving experience, especially when compared to the more powerful engines offered by competitors. The performance of the Crest line was described as underwhelming, with sluggish acceleration and a lack of responsiveness. This disappointment extended to handling, as the car struggled to navigate turns and curves with confidence, making it feel more like a chore to drive than a pleasure. Inside, the Crest line featured a simple and functional layout, but the materials used were less than luxurious. The upholstery and trim were basic, and while it did provide sufficient space for passengers, it lacked the comfort and refinement that many consumers sought in a family car during the 1950s. The Crest line did not come equipped with many of the modern amenities that were becoming standard in other vehicles. Features such as power steering, power windows, and advanced sound systems were often either unavailable or offered only as expensive options, further detracting from the overall appeal of the car. By 1954, Ford faced stiff competition from other manufacturers who were introducing more innovative and exciting models. The Crest line struggled to differentiate itself, leaving it to compete against vehicles that offered better styling, more powerful engines, and superior features. As a result, the Crest line saw disappointing sales figures, with many consumers opting for more modern alternatives. Its inability to keep up with the rapidly evolving automotive market led to its decline in popularity. The 1954 Ford Crest line serves as a reminder of how quickly automotive trends can change. What may have once been a popular choice became an outdated option as consumers began to demand more from their vehicles. Its lack of style, performance, and modern features left it struggling in a competitive landscape that was shifting toward innovation and excitement. Today, the Crestline is often remembered as a relic of a bygone era, overshadowed by more iconic models from Ford's history. While it may hold some nostalgic value for a few enthusiasts, it ultimately represents a missed opportunity for Ford during a time when the industry was evolving rapidly. The Crestline's legacy is one of unfulfilled potential, making it an easily forgotten chapter in the annals of automotive history. The 1958 Chevrolet Delor was introduced as a low-cost option within Chevrolet's lineup, aimed at budget-conscious consumers looking for an affordable vehicle. However, this model quickly became known for its numerous shortcomings, which made it less desirable compared to its competitors. With a lack of features, underwhelming performance, and uninspiring styling, the Delor failed to make a lasting impression in the automotive market. The Delor's styling was uninspired and lacked the flair found in other Chevrolet models, such as the Bel Air. Its boxy shape and simple lines made it look more utilitarian than appealing, and it didn't capture the eye of potential buyers in a time when bold designs were becoming increasingly popular. While some consumers appreciate simplicity, the Delor's bland exterior failed to excite buyers who were looking for a vehicle that stood out on the road. In an era characterized by flashy chrome and vibrant colors, the Delor's muted presence left it largely forgotten. The Delor came equipped with a basic 235 cubic inch inline-six engine, which produced only 140 horsepower. This power output was insufficient for a car of its size, leading to sluggish acceleration and a generally lackluster driving experience. While buyers could opt for a V8 engine, the cost of doing so reduced the very affordability that the Delor was meant to represent. As a result, many customers were stuck with the underpowered six-cylinder option, further detracting from the car's appeal. One of the most significant drawbacks of the Delor was its bare-bones interior. It was designed as a budget option and, as such, was stripped of many desirable features that were becoming standard in more affordable cars of the time. Buyers found the interior lacking in comfort and convenience. There were few options for customization, and the overall feel was one of cost-cutting rather than value. The lack of modern amenities made it difficult to compete with rivals that offered more for a similar price. While the Delor was intended to be an economical choice, its stripped-down nature meant that it didn't offer the same level of value as other budget cars. Competing models from brands like Ford and Plymouth provided better features and performance at a similar price point. In a market that was quickly evolving toward more practical and stylish options, the Delor failed to keep pace. Its inability to attract a loyal customer base contributed to its lack of lasting success, as many buyers opted for more well-rounded alternatives. The 1958 Chevrolet Delor is often overlooked in discussions about classic cars, primarily due to its lack of distinctiveness and appeal. Its attempt to provide a budget option fell flat, as it didn't live up to the standards set by both Chevrolet and its competitors. Ultimately, the Delor serves as an example of how cost-cutting can lead to missed opportunities in the automotive market. While budget-friendly options are essential, they must also deliver a satisfying experience to ensure customer loyalty and long-term success. The Delor's legacy is one of missed potential, making it a model that many would prefer to forget. Number 1, the 1955 Plymouth Cranbrook was positioned as a mid-range offering in Plymouth's lineup during a time of intense competition and rapid change in the automotive industry. However, it quickly became evident that the Cranbrook was struggling to keep up with evolving consumer expectations, leading to its reputation as an uninspiring and outdated vehicle. The Cranbrook's design was a throwback to earlier automotive styles, lacking the fresh, modern look that was becoming popular in the mid-1950s. Its bulky proportions and conservative lines made it appear old-fashioned, especially in comparison to more dynamically styled competitors from brands like Chevrolet and Ford. While some buyers may have appreciated the classic look, the overall design failed to attract a younger, style-conscious demographic that was starting to dominate the market. The Cranbrook simply did not have the aesthetic charm that many consumers sought in a new car. The standard engine for the Cranbrook was a 230 cubic inch inline six that produced a mere 130 horsepower. This lack of power translated into sluggish acceleration and a driving experience that was uninspiring at best. Competing models with more powerful V8 engines offered a noticeable performance advantage, leaving the Cranbrook feeling pedestrian and unexciting on the road. As consumer interest shifted towards vehicles with sportier handling and more power, the Cranbrook fell behind. The interior of the Cranbrook felt dated, lacking many of the modern conveniences and comfort features that buyers had come to expect in the mid-1950s. While it provided basic transportation, it failed to offer the plush and inviting interiors found in newer models. With a focus on cost-cutting, the Cranbrook's interior was minimalistic, lacking the advanced features that were becoming standard in rival cars. This stripped-down approach left buyers feeling that they were getting less value for their money. As the automotive market evolved, the Cranbrook struggled to maintain relevance. Competitors from brands like Ford, Chevrolet, and Buick introduced models with more power, better styling, and advanced features, quickly overshadowing the Cranbrook. The Cranbrook's inability to compete with these more appealing options led to declining sales, as consumers increasingly opted for models that offered a better combination of style, performance, and modern conveniences. The 1955 Plymouth Cranbrook is often remembered as an example of how failing to innovate can lead to a car becoming irrelevant. While it had the potential to capture a share of the mid-range market, its outdated design and lack of features made it a poor choice for buyers seeking something more contemporary. Ultimately, the Cranbrook's legacy is one of missed opportunities and a reflection of a time when consumers were beginning to demand more from their vehicles. As a result, the Cranbrook has become a largely forgotten model in automotive history, overshadowed by more exciting and modern competitors.